All right. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. I'm CJ. I work with CC and Quo on the speed docs, speed running content, and glad to have you. Hoping we can get just a little bit of time today to talk about the Minish cap and specifically your role in the community and some of the other work that you've done. So, can you hear me okay?
Yes, it's good.
Awesome. So I guess the first thing I'd ask is, how did you get involved with, tasking and the task community in general?
Well, I started speedrunning like 15 years ago, pretty much, and found out about the Speedimage archive in 2004. I made some runs for the site, well, one run for the site rather, but I didn't have the quality required, the video quality required for the site. So I started looking for other things to do speedrun-wise, and I found the task videos. As fast as you can do without having a good video recorder, like DVD recorder stuff. So I started experimenting with it, and I got stuck pretty much. And I've been since.
What are the other games that you've done for
tasks?
Yeah.
Like Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario Bros. 3, A Link to the Past, Oracle of Seasons. What else? Bubble Bubble. Lots of games.
I've played Bubble Bubble.
It's a great game.
Yeah, I highly recommend it if anyone's listening to this. Okay, so can you just walk through the process? What is creating a task entail? What is that process, and how long does it take usually?
The general goal of a task is to find out how fast a game can be beaten with perfection. And to do that, you need to simulate a perfect human player by removing the human errors. For example, you play frame by frame, and quite often the game is 60 frames per second, so for every frame you decide exactly what input you want to do. At the same time, you make save states so you can change your inputs to undo mistakes or test various things. So as you go in really slow motion, that takes a long time to do. For Diminished cap, my first task of the game took me 11 months. I didn't really work like every day on it, but quite a lot of hours most days. So it takes a long time to get perfection.
So every frame you got to go in one frame at a time, input. I don't envy you. That's a lot of inputs. Is there a lot of backtracking? Like, all right, let's see what this input does. Oh, that didn't work. I gotta try another one. I mean, I guess for the Game Boy, it's not as bad because there's 8 inputs or something.
Yeah, there's not too many like variables to test with compared to a 3D title. But
Sure.
Like for randomness in games, you sometimes have to do many minutes behind to fix some random stuff. Or like new things get found all the time, so you have to redo the task as well. So quite often you like, I like to backtrack because I keep looking at my old stuff constantly to see if I can improve it. So if I improve it one frame, I'm going to redo the whole thing pretty much. Because like I hate seeing an improvement, like knowing that this can be better, and I can't stand it, so I have to redo everything to fix it. So I do that all the time.
That's definitely dedication for sure.
Yeah, I like the challenge.
It definitely sounds like it. If you did not like the challenge, I couldn't imagine a scenario where you would want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of like, maybe I'm drilling on this too much, but maybe in terms of difficulty, where does Minish Cap rank on maybe time or effort that you put in?
Ooh, well, as mentioned, the randomness in every game is always a hard part with tasking. As there are so many ways you can manipulate the randomness, and sometimes you have to, as I said, backtrack a lot. And that's also often a hard part with tasking. Otherwise, the movement itself in Minish Cap can also be quite tricky. As to optimize the subpixels, you have to keep testing various things, like when you move left between the rolling and stuff. And there are many variations of that as well to test for between each roll and running in the end movement. But it's not that bad. Like I said, if you compare it to 3D tasks, you have the analog stick with lots of possibilities to for your inputs. So obviously, a 2D game is a lot easier in that aspect.
I get dizzy trying to program the controller to use on the PC. I can't imagine, and that would just be a nightmare. Okay, so when did you make your first task for the Minish cap?
For the Minish cap, that was in 2011, I think.
Yeah,
I can't remember. But a lot of people started working on the Diminished cap tasks, but no one finished that one. And that bothered me because I wanted to see a full task of the game. So I pretty much ended up doing it myself.
Do you remember anything specific about that one?
The old ones? Or my old tasks?
Oh, the one that you did, yeah, 2011.
Well, I was still fairly new to tasking, in my opinion. Like, there's so many mistakes I did because I didn't know how to optimize things properly.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I can't remember any specific moments in the task, I suppose. Except for like a big Octorok, the stupid boss was a pain. As well as the Dark Nuts in the later game. Those took me a long time to optimize, and I pretty much ended up almost quitting the task completely because I didn't know how to optimize them. And in the end I said, like, whatever, I'll keep this. This is good enough. But it really wasn't. It was really bad.
What was the task timing for that first one?
The task timing is a bit different compared to real timing.
Right.
Tasks start when you power on the game and ends with the last input. So you have the intro the intro before the file select is part of the task timing, as well as the inputs done after the final boss is dead. But task timing, the run is 148. And with the real timing, I think it's like 143 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or 145. Something like that. I think it's about 3 minutes.
And I think the record at the time was 221.28. Qual, was that right?
Would have been 213.
213?
Yeah. From SU2.
I am definitely, let me tell you something. I am not a historian. I'll tell you, CCNeverender is the one with all the research, so my dumb monkey brain is going to struggle through this, but I can talk pretty well. Okay. Thank you. So you make the first task. It's the first completed task in Minish Cap. You said that you kind of, there was unfinished business, right? You wanted to see a completed task of the game.
Yeah.
So what do you do next? I mean, the task comes out. You have this now. We have a task of Minish Cap. Fantastic. What do you go on and do? Do you either inside the community or outside the community?
Well, during the making of the tasks and before and after, I've always been involved with the people running the game. So if I can find some improvement in a task that might be useful for your RTA runs, I try to like inform them about it and like teach people how to run the game. As when you're testing the game, you learn so much about like how the game works and why, and that is really useful for real-time running as well. Like knowing exactly how much faster a roll is compared to running or walking or whatever. So instead of just testing each time, you can like know for sure that this is the fastest way to do it. Because it's going to be hard to time in a real-time run. But now we have a frame counter that we can see exactly how fast something is. So pretty much like try to communicate with people and inform them and teach them about the game and how it works pretty much.
What are some of the things that you found in the task? In that first one.
I can't remember like any glitches that I found, like just general improvements. There was a couple of glitches found by other people, but I pretty much just took them and optimized them, I think. There are some small things.
Do you remember any of them that you can just say, even if you didn't like find them, but some of them were incorporated?
Yeah, one of the reasons I wanted to make this task in the first place was because of the flute glitch found at Pika and Ocarina glitch or flute, whatever. Because that one was a big glitch for the game that skipped a lot part of the later game. And some people had done runs of it like SD2, but there wasn't a task showing them. And I kind of felt like this needs to be shown because it's a great game and it needs a good task, like a full task of it. So the Ocarina glitch was a big part of it to begin with.
Can you just? I know that everyone in this room knows about the Ocarina glitch. But can you just explain what the Ocarina glitch is?
If you use the Ocarina glitch when you go up or downstairs, you can freeze Link in a specific state, which means you can walk through certain objects, certain sprites, and also end up on the a different background layer in the game, which means you can walk through walls to different rooms and stuff. And this skipped the whole side dungeon in the game, as well as breaking the last dungeon a bit. So it's a big glitchy thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when Quo showed it to me, I was kind of like, all right, yeah, this game, you're playing the game pretty fast, woohoo, you're rolling and stuff. Then he shows me this glitch where he's walking over stuff, and there's like, it looks like it's crashed. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. We're cooking with gas now.
Yeah, the game is can be quite messed up with the glitch, as you get a lot of graphical errors and stuff. This I think looks pretty funny.
What's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you when you're doing a task?
Ooh.
I mean, you must get into some pretty... I mean, you're trying to break the game. Have you ever broken the game in a way that's just like, well, that's not helpful at all,
Well, a lot of games, like if you glitch them too much, the game is going to crash. And that has happened quite often. Not that much with this game, though. I can't remember an instance when tasking it, really. But like for other tasks, like A Link to the Past I've been doing, there are many things you can do to mess up the game so much that the game just crashes. It can also delete your save file if you do incorrect inputs.
That's a big boo-boo.
Yeah. That can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, no big deal, right?
Yeah.
What's a speedrun for A Link to the Past anyway? How long is that?
Well, the speedrun you can beat the game in 1.5 minutes, but there's no way you're crashing the game, that one.
Yeah, sure.
But it's a lot glitchy, at least.
So I have our script in front of me, and Quo wrote the script, and me and CC went through, and he has a paragraph in here, and I'll read you one line, and I think that'll help bridge the gap to our next part here. He says, the next day while hanging around IRC, I would say 3 words that over the next 2 years I would come to regret. With a new skip found, I asked Tompa, new task when?
Oh, yeah. Stupid Toads.
Stupid Toads.
So Toads has a habit of finding glitches as soon as a task is finished. I knew already with my old task that it had improvements, but there was nothing big, really, back then.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the glitches I wanted to be found was to skip the flippers. Previously, you needed them in like 2 spots, I think, in total. And it's so close to skipping them, and if you skip those, you can skip more things as well, saving a lot of time. But I tried like everything possible to do it, and it simply wasn't possible. Then Toads come around and uses the stupid lamp, and then eventually the boomerang to find a way to skip them. It's like, I never get the boomerang. That's a useless item. I don't test that crap. And the lantern is also crap, so I never end up testing those things to skip the boomerang because it makes no sense to me. But that's the thing when speedrunning and tasking. Like, you have to try these weird things that don't make sense, but they may end up doing something useful in the end.
So he renders your task inert because he does something that he goes against the stupid lamp, right? He goes after the boomerang.
Yeah, the lamp is part of the run still, but you don't have it at that point. But the boomerang works the same way for some reason.
So you start working on that task. When do you start working on that task?
One sec. I think we have our timelines mixed up.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think it was MB that found... what did he find? The boss key skip in Fortress
The
of
boss
Winds.
key skipping, in for Dungeon.
And then we started working on the 2016 tasks. So that was in 2014.
That's right. I'm taking a step ahead here. Yeah. Yes, that was the first big improvement to skip the boss key in a dungeon. That skipped half the dungeon. So that was like, I might as well do another task. And I didn't start it initially. That was done some other random guy, right?
Yeah, some new tasker that didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, like, oh wait, is this going to be a serious project? Like there were so many mistakes, but I wanted to be nice to him, and like told me you can improve this, you can do this and that, and then I ended up like taking over the whole run for him pretty much and restarted it from the beginning. So that was a lot of fun as well. It took like 2 years, right?
Yeah.
To finish, yeah.
So the first one took like 10 months, 11 months, right? This one takes 2
Yeah.
years. Why did this
Yeah.
one take so much longer?
Well, Q started it a while ago, and it made like steady progress up to the second dungeon. But there were so many things in the beginning that thought like, this is bad. This is so unoptimized. So we restarted the run from the beginning, and I pretty much tasked the whole thing alone up to the second dungeon, I think.
Yeah, you did in like 3 weeks. Well, I took like 2 months to do that part.
Yeah. So that took a while, and then we got stuck at many places during the run because like randomness or having to redo things all the time. And I guess we took like long breaks as well. That's why it took so long to finish the run. But
So optimizations in that second task, or the next one that we're talking about.
It was nice to optimize things that I was bad at in my first task. As when I'm looking at the task today, like it looks so bad to me. So it was so nice to be able to fix those things as well with the new task.
Can you just say a couple of those things that you went back and cleaned up or optimized that were unoptimized?
Well, when you're working a task for so long, like it takes a while to learn the mechanics properly. Like what is the optimal way to movement, how to optimize the randomness, and so on. So there's often like small time saves, like one frame here, one from there, but they add up quite a lot in the end. So nothing really big, but just all the small things you can do when you learn how the game works.
Sure. I mean, if you're able to save a frame every, second from optimal movement, suddenly every minute you've saved another second, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it can definitely snowball. Totally understand.
Indeed.
Let me see. What else do I have here?
I know the route for the second task was a bit different, especially like the rupee route, for example.
Yeah, rupee is also a problem that I didn't look in it too much when I did my first task. That's also a problem with my first task, that I didn't test too many things. I often went by like what other people had done before, and they saying like, "Oh, this is optimal." Okay, then I just did it, but I never tested it if it actually was optimal.
Shout out to Tompa's cat.
Yeah,
Making an appearance.
Yeah, he's bored, I think.
The cat is now internet famous. Congratulations, Fluffy, you did it.
Good job. His name is Tufs.
Tufs.
Good boy, Tufs. Oh, sorry
So
about that.
no, you're fine. So tell me about the glitch you found in the 5th dungeon.
Oh, the 5th dungeon, is that the
Positive wins.
what did I find in that one?
Cutscene Ocarina.
Oh, the cutscene, yeah. So Ocarina glitch was originally done by going upstairs and using the Ocarina at the same time. But I noticed that when certain cutscene starts, you can also play the Ocarina to get the same effect. It wasn't really a big time saver at first in that dungeon. But I also found it in the last dungeon of the game. And that saved like half a second, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then we find like other places to use it, such as the Palace of Winds dungeon. And that saved quite a bit more.
It's pretty hard for RTA, isn't it? Like it's very it's frame perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. That's with many glitches. You have only a timing of one frame to do them. So, and for the Ocarina glitch with cutscene skips, is you only have one time to do it as well, only one shot at it. While when going up and downstairs, you can just keep going up and down all the time until you get it. Still, it costs some time each time, but you can retry at least. But
and the other one is predicated on a cutscene, so you have to re-trigger the cutscene in order to get that effect, right?
Yeah. And if you want to try to do that, it's going to waste a lot more time than it saves. So
you have to power down the console to do that? How do you do that?
I don't think you have to power down the console. You can just, for some reason, rooms you can just exit the rooms and go back or retry the dungeon. But that's a huge waste of time, of course. So
right,
as it doesn't save more than a few seconds.
Right. Beep. Let me keep looking. So it says here almost like 580,000 re-records. A lot of re-records. Is that a metric that it's a one that I'm unfamiliar with. Is that a really large number?
Well, I guess it's pretty big, yeah. Most of my products, I use a lot of safety because I'm such a perfectionist. So I want to try everything and optimize it as well as I can.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it is pretty big number. Like, people are surprised when they see it. And I'm like, I don't really care too much about the number. I'm just, I'm trying my best no matter what. And if it's a low or high number, I don't mind.
I think it came out to like 1.5 re-records per frame of the run.
Yeah.
For like a 2-hour run.
But if you compare the two tasks, my first task used 270,000, I think, re-records. And this one is like more than twice as many. So that's also because we restarted the whole run, for example. That adds up. And because hi, kitty. And because we wanted to be a lot more optimized than the old run was.
Yeah.
It says, one of my notes here is that the Super Mario Sunshine test had 116,000 re-records.
Oh, yeah.
That's wow. Just from this conversation with you, man, I mean, it sounds like they're not very optimized. Someone should get someone on that.
Indeed. Well, that's the thing with these numbers. Like, they don't really mean anything. Like, you can have a low number, but it's still a very optimized run.
Mm-hmm.
And some people use bots to like randomly test things for like randomness to manipulate RNG, and the bots can like add up millions to the run in total records.
So what you're saying is, I'm gonna make a task tomorrow with 3 re-records. It's gonna be perfect.
Well, I mean, it can be perfect. Like if you do everything right the first time, it is possible. But technically possible. But if someone submits a new task to the site with 3 re-records, or like 10, 15, or even 100, no one is going to care for it really, because now this can't be it. This can't be a good run. So it still represents something, the number, but it isn't a given that the task is good all because the re-record count is high.
Mm-hmm.
But it's yeah.
Well, I think we're winding down, but Quod, do you have anything you wanted to ask that we didn't talk about?
No, I think we covered most of the stuff.
Yeah, no, well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, and obviously you maybe taught me a little more than I thought, because I have no idea. I don't know anything about tasking. I know that there's some games that I play that can't be tasked because there's no emulator that works for it, so
that's a problem.
Yeah, so the extent of my knowledge of working with or someone doing a task is like, oh, hey, we can't task the games that you play.
Even for like speedrunners, a lot of people don't know what a task is, like how they're made and what goes into them. A lot of people just think, oh, it's cheating, they use tools. That's easy, like anyone can do that. But
they use a robot.
So much more. Yeah, it's just a robot, like a bot doing everything. But that's far from the case. It's really hard to do an optimized task. But people won't know that without trying.
Sure. I mean, you definitely have to have an eye for it, right? I mean,
yeah.
You're talking about sub-pixels. I mean, jeez.
Like, you don't really need to be good at the game, like gameplay-wise, but you need a much greater knowledge of the game understanding. So there are like a lot of different skills you still need to be able to make a good task, even though you don't need like reflexes. But it's not free.
And you specifically, I mean, you have an eye for a lot of different games. I mean, you listed off a whole bunch.
Yeah, that's only some of them. Like, I normally play games from my childhood. Like, I grew up with these games and I like playing them. Mm-hmm. So I end up tasking them afterwards. But it's a way to entertain myself and then challenge myself.
Hey man, power to you. Power to you.
Thank you.
Like I said, thank you for